Every Christmas, the little town of Maple Hollow seemed to come alive. Laughter in the streets, carols in the air, and the comforting glow of homes filled with love. But on Willow Street, in a small house with a single light in the window, a mother named Maria was spending her Christmas Eve in silence. For years, Christmas had always been the same. Cinnamon cookies cooling on the counter, her husband David whistling old carols off-key, and her son Ethan, his eyes wide with wonder, helping her place the final ornament, the silver snowflake. But this year, she hung it alone. David had passed away 2 springs ago, and the house felt vast without his gentle presence. And Ethan, well, Ethan was hundreds of miles away, chasing his dreams in the big city. He was an architect now, designing skyscrapers that touched the clouds. He'd called earlier, his voice a little tinny over the phone. "Mom, I'm so sorry," he'd said, the familiar sound of city traffic buzzing in the background. "A big project just came up. I can't get away. We'll celebrate when I visit in January, I promise." Maria had forced a smile into her voice. "Of course, sweetheart, I understand. Your work is important." But as she hung up, a single tear traced a path down her cheek. It wasn't about the presents or the big dinner. It was about the empty chair, the silence where laughter used to be. She sat by the fire, a steaming mug of cocoa growing cold in her hands, and looked at an old photo on the mantelpiece. It was a picture of a 10-year-old Ethan, grinning from ear to ear, holding up a lopsided gingerbread house they'd built together. He'd insisted on putting gumdrops all over the roof. "It needs more color, Mom," he'd declared. A small, sad smile touched her lips. She missed that boy. She missed the man he'd become. Her only Christmas wish was simple: to have him home, just for a little while. Drifting off to sleep in her armchair, she whispered to the empty room, "Merry Christmas, my boys." Hours later, a sound startled her awake. It was a gentle, rhythmic thump, thump, thump from the front porch. Her heart jumped. Was it the wind? A stray animal? Hesitantly, she pulled her shawl tighter and walked to the door, peering through the people. Her breath caught in her throat. Standing on her porch, covered in a dusting of fresh snow, was Ethan. He was holding a slightly crushed, very lopsided gingerbread house, adorned with far too many gumdrops. She fumbled with the lock, swinging the door open. "Ethan, what? How?" He gave her a tired, sheepish grin. "I was halfway through a meeting," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "And all I could picture was you here alone. I looked at the blueprints for this giant, soulless building, and I realized the most important thing I could ever build is a memory with you." He stepped inside, shaking the snow from his coat. "So I walked out. I told my boss my mom needed me. I drove 10 hours straight." He held up the gingerbread house. "I stopped at an all-night market for supplies. It's not as good as the ones we used to make, but..." Maria didn't let him finish. She wrapped her arms around him, burying her face in his coat, a mix of cinnamon, pine, and the cold night air. It smelled like home. Tears streamed down her face, but this time they were tears of pure joy. "It's perfect," she sobbed. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." They spent the rest of the early Christmas morning sitting by the fire, just like old times. He told her about his life in the city, and she told him about the goings-on in Maple Hollow. They ate the slightly stale gingerbread house, laughing as the gumdrops fell off. The single light in the window on Willow Street no longer felt lonely. It was a beacon, a symbol of a mother's wish that, against all odds, had come true. Because sometimes the greatest gifts aren't found under the tree. They're the ones that walk right through your front door.